Joining us today to discuss this further is Raymond Lim, CEO of RB Global Holdings Singapore. Welcome, Raymond.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. It is very important that we understand the thinking behind why we do things. And so that's what I want to open up with. Can you tell me, in your opinion, what are the cognitive biases that are common among investors today?
Normally, we as human beings, we have many belief systems. And I think in terms of investing, one of the most common biases that most people have will be the fear of losing money. And that will stop people from investing. So people tend to consume rather than invest because of these past habits that we have. So these cognitive biases are basically just thinking, habits of thinking. And if you just look at people, they prefer to put their money in a bank. So if you are to give people the opportunity of making $50, and that is guaranteed, versus making $100 but with a 20% chance of losing, they will take the 50%. So what does that mean? That means that most people would like to put their money in a bank, earning 1%, or in Singapore we have 1% here, probably about
0.25%.
Yeah,
0.25%. Yeah.
Yeah. And why people do that? So that's because of their fear of losing money, and that keeps them stuck. Throughout history, everybody knows that putting money in the bank, it doesn't grow. And if you just look at all the investment opportunities here in the Philippines in the last 4 or 5 years, the stocks are soaring, property prices are growing, and people are still putting money in the bank. So that speaks very much why the rich become richer and the poor are stuck there, because of the mindset.
So how do you get a person out of that mindset?
Well, I think very often it's through education, and very often also, if I may add, is also their upbringing, their culture. So if we are growing in a culture whereby we see our parents invest, we see them making money, their returns coming in, the chances are that we will invest ourselves as well. So I think most people, when they have the opportunity, they would like to step out of their comfort zone. But again, if the culture restrict them, they go back to their normal.
Are there any other biases that you notice, or are you saying that at the core of it, it is the fear of losing money?
The core of it, fear of losing money. Then again, you also have people who are overly confident. And most human beings are like this, is that we tend to know what we know, but yet we don't know what we don't know.
That makes sense.
So when it comes to investing, most people don't ask, what don't I know? But they just plunge it in, and they just focus on what they know, and very often they lose money because we literally don't know what we don't know, and there are so many things that we don't know.
Is that also, in another word, naive?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like acting, thinking they know, but then actually they don't know enough to be able to go into investing.
Right. And very often we also talk about birds of the same feathers coming together. So when they don't know, who do they ask? They ask people who also don't know much, which are their close friends and their family members. And the advice that they get will be people who are not very advanced and very well trained as well. So I strongly encourage people to go out there and really learn more, step out of their comfort zone and learn, because the culture stops them from growing.
Do you think that on that note of learning, if they're not overly confident, part of the issue is that they actually are they don't want to learn more because it is uncomfortable for them to actually go and make an effort and go to trainings, research, and look for mentors? Could that be part of the problem?
Yes, most of the time they are very comfortable being who they are. They take it as hard work. Now, I think the joy of investing and seeing returns outweighs all the so-called extra work that you put in, rather than plunge into an investment and you feel that you lose all your hard-earned money. And I think people stop investing because of that. They may have had a very small little bet decision. So decisions is a process whereby from our past experience, and this all adds up. So while experience is something that money can buy, so you have to go through it. And I would say the fastest way and the easiest way and the least costly way is always to model after people who have been successful. So again, coming back, people normally don't model, they don't do investment modeling, they learn from people who do not know.
Let's look at the flip side. Maybe a part of the way to help people stop or avoid or move forward from these biases is to show the downside. Do you have stories or worst case scenarios of people who continue on with these biases and what happens as a result in their investing?
I would say that if you look throughout history, people always make some money, and then things that go up must come down. So personally, for me, myself, I started investing when I was 26 years old. And it was just beginning, and career is growing, family is growing, and I wanted more for myself, my family, and my loved ones. But then again came the Asian financial crisis, and that stops me for a couple of years on investing because I got burned. Yeah, so that fear stuck with me, especially in the stocks. Those days were the stocks days. And I turned around and started investing in property. Why? That's because I made money from property. So it is, success is a habit, and so is failure, unfortunately. So I would say that people have to learn to get out of their past experience. And I think one of the key things that people forget is to really have the domain knowledge. Because there's a big diverse investment things that we are looking, whether it's stocks, options, forex, property, etc. But to really have the domain knowledge, to really learn in the industry, so that you become a master in that. Yeah.
Do you have advice on people who want to be able to learn more, as you said, and educate themselves, but they might be surrounded with people who don't know either, so they don't know where to go? What is your advice on step one?
Okay. Step one, number one, is to be very clearly to define what they wish to achieve in which field, each industry, which area. And I think clarity is power. Most people, they just say, I want to be rich, but they do not know where. What does that mean?
Right.
Where to go? So look for people who are in that field, in that circle of influence, and also they are the masters, they have proven themselves. Instead of getting advice from people who have not succeeded, why not get advice from people who have already succeeded? Okay, and to cap their risk. So if you're very clear, let's say for example you have 2 million to invest or $500,000 to invest, that every one of us has got different risk profile and different savings. So start with what we can afford to lose, and from there, do your research, which area to go in.
Very good tip. Start with what you can afford to lose.
Yeah.
That's also very good. Then look at that. Now, online resources are also prevalent. So you're saying, when you say look for someone who knows the industry or the area, it doesn't mean you need to physically meet somebody, right?
Right.
You're saying you can go online and find out from gurus in particular areas and learn from them so that you might adapt the same.
Right.
Correct.
In fact, online is a huge resource. And I always tell my children, Google is my best friend.
Mine too.
Yeah, there are many free resources out there in the net, and there are many free trainings also in whatever field of investment that anyone wants to go in. Get those free learning first and free training, subscribe to webinars, to a training resource, and from there, go to the step two. You know, when it comes to investment, you can never lose all your investment. Let's say you start with $500,000. You can never lose $500,000. The only way you can lose all your investment is when you gamble.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Only when you gamble. So there are some seeming investments that can actually be gambling because of the risks involved. Correct?
Yes. So, well, I define it as investment is knowing when you enter the investment, knowing when you enter what kind of exit strategies you already have. So most people don't even know when they're going to exit, how much returns are they forecasting when they exit, how long is the duration. So they're entering with both eyes closed.
Okay. Singapore is a little bit unique from the Philippines. Actually, in many ways unique from the Philippines. Is it possible that in the Philippines, amongst Filipinos, a cognitive bias from actually going forward and being able to invest is the fact that, well, investing is for those with a lot of money? And I don't have enough. You know, the numbers you gave earlier, 500,000 or 1 million or 2 million, some people might be daunted by that and say, you know what, I don't want to go into it because I just don't have enough. Could that be a bias or a constraint?
That is not true, because money is never an issue. Money flows when value flows. So those who always say that they don't have money, they are stuck with the mindset that they will always don't have money. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they have to start from the point of where can they look to invest in a very risk-free environment with little outlay in the beginning and grow from there. Because there are many types of investment. So when I say $500,000, you can start small. You can start with 5 places where you can start small. And there are many opportunities, I'm sure, in the Philippines, in Singapore too. So the belief that you can only invest when you have money, that is not true. That is the cognitive biases. So biases are just biases. When the biases are working in your favor, that is good. When the biases are working against you, that's bad.
Okay. All right, on that note, here we go. We're going to answer some questions from social media after this short break. Stick around. You're watching On the Money.